Hey y'all, Sai here! So this is my second and third tries at making a chocolate Intarsia. If you missed the first video, that's okay because I'm doing the exact same thing in this video, except I'm just adjusting things here and there to try to make it work. So this time I made the rose smaller and I also made a daffodil. So I cut those out, shaped and sanded them, and this time I made sure there was a lot of space between the pieces when I glued them down. I also made sure the wood that framed them stood about 1/2 inch above the pieces to give the silicone plenty of thickness. Then I sprayed them with acrylic spray, but this was different than the one that I used last time and it smelled really strong. I put a lot of coats on it and it turned out nice and smooth but sticky. I knew I would use the entire container of silicone like I did the last time, so I just poured all of the liquid into the container and mixed it all up. Then poured it over the flowers and I had some left, so I put 2 horseshoes into a plastic container and I made a mold of them too. They set up for 24 hours and they released very easily from the silicone. I think having the space between the pieces really helped with that. Then I made the chocolate and poured it in the molds. I let them set up in the refrigerator and then took them out to see how they looked. I had a picture on my phone of the Intarsia rose pattern because I can never remember how the pieces fit together, so I had to look at the pattern. The daffodil is easier to put together. And the horseshoes didn't come out very well at all. And I also sampled a piece of the chocolate while doing this. When I tried this piece here, I could taste the acrylic spray. And I used different acrylic spray for this one than I used for that first chocolate mold that I did. And that couldn't taste the acrylic at all. So don't use the second acrylic that I used. I'll make sure to put that in the description. So those molds were contaminated by the bad acrylic spray, so I wanted to do it all a third time. This time I made the rose bigger. It is actually the same rose from the first attempt. I cut it off of that backer board and I cleaned it up and I glued it with the pieces spread way out like attempt number 2. And I replaced my sandbags with bean bags and those work so much better. This time I made sure to use the same acrylic spray that I used the first time, which is called Krylon Triple Thick Acrylic Spray. I placed a whole bunch of coats to get that nice, smooth surface again. And the purpose of the acrylic spray is to seal the wood. There is a release agent you can buy so the silicone will come off easily from whatever material you've poured it into, but the silicone people said if the wood is sealed well, you don't need a release agent. On the very first video, I had quite the time weighing the silicone and the hardener liquid, and I ended up using the entire container anyway. And the second attempt, I mixed the entire container and tried to make those horseshoe molds with the silicone that was left over. So this time I mixed the entire container again, and it was actually a little shy of reaching the top. So I hoped it was going to be thick enough, because I really didn't have enough. I tapped it to get the bubbles out, and I still don't know if this is necessary or not, but it does bring up some unwanted bubbles. I removed one side of the frame so I could grab the silicone, and it released very easily. I washed it with soap and water, then made the chocolate, poured it into the mold, and put it in the fridge. And I was super excited to see how this try number 3 was going to turn out. Most of the rose pieces came out really well, while the outer pieces not so much. So these nice thick pieces, they stayed intact, but where it got thinner, it cracked. So I'm thinking those pieces just need to be a different shape if they're going to be chocolate, made into chocolate. But I would say this time was more successful. Yay! So what I've learned about this is make sure that you separate each piece enough so that the silicone can get in between them and each piece is its own thing instead of being so close together that the in-between rips out. And the chocolate pieces, they just need to be wider and thicker. These are all pretty thin, so maybe that's why they broke. That one's a little also. This broke here. So the pieces just need to be thicker. I can make this into 2 pieces. Anyway, I still think it's a success. I'm just gonna push it all back together like a regular Intarsia. There. Nice. So I haven't tried a piece of it yet. I'll just try a piece of this broken stem right here. Yum. Yay. So I'm going to call this one a success. Yay! I still know what I need to do to change the pieces a little bit so that they work even better, but yay! Some folks wrote and they said, you should make the chocolate some different colors by using white chocolate and stuff. Well, that's really cool, but you know, I can't eat very much stuff and I can't eat white chocolate. So I'm just sticking with this kind of chocolate that I can eat. And talk about eating chocolate, I'm just gonna have another piece. This rose pattern is from Kathy Wise, and so I'll put a link in the description box for her book that has the pattern in it. And I will also put a link to the food safe silicone that I used. And I'll give you a link to this recipe. But you know, it's chocolate for people that can't eat much food. So anyway, yeah. So thanks for joining me, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye! So I'm gonna call that